attention. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.
The FDA is about to get a lot more muscle.
More money and more power.
Sweeping new powers.
The most sweeping overhaul of the nation's food safety laws since the 1930s.
Robert Scott Bell.
If you like the efficiency of the post office, the competence of FEMA, and the compassion of the IRS, we will love the nationalized health care bill.
Robert Scott Bell.
The British Medical Journal accused a researcher, Andrew Wakefield, of outright fraud. People need to look at the details and not look at the headlines.
This is like Salem, the visceral response that they're trying to whip up in the public to try and crush this dissent.
Enough is enough.
Taking on bureaucrats and corporations that would stand in the way of health freedom and making sense out of medical propaganda. The voice of health, freedom, and liberty, Robert Scott Bell.
Everybody knows that this show is not approved by the FDA. Heck, that's why you listen to it. That's why I do it. And there are other things out there that are not approved by any government agency anywhere, so maybe you want to pay attention to them. Maybe there's legitimacy to them. In fact, there probably is if the government doesn't like it. Right now, to join me with a story like this is Christopher Key. Chris, welcome to the Robert Scott Bell Show.
How are you doing today, Robert?
All right, you heard what I said there. Do you do things that are approved by government?
Not at all. Everything we do hasn't been approved by any government standards whatsoever.
That might be why we're talking here. And it's interesting. There was a Jonathan Ebor, my dear friend, who's an FDA attorney that nails the FDA all the time. He said that they did an internal study, the FDA, that the stronger the claim, let's say the admonition from the FDA, if you have like a health claim, right? You're not a drug, but you're health. This is not worth it. The stronger the disclaimer, the more the people will believe that it's a legitimate product. So it backfired on the FDA. They want to say, something doesn't work, and then if you do that, the people believe that it does. So it's interesting. The FDA is trying to backpedal. That's another story. But for you, you're dealing with a controversial area: professional athletics, sports, bodybuilding, muscle building. Not anabolic steroids, of course, because we don't endorse that here, but some interesting technologies to help people.
Well, yeah, the name of our company is SWAT, which is Sports with Alternative Steroids. We are the most controversial supplement company in the world, Robert. We've been banned by the National Football League. We've been banned by the PGA. We've been banned by Major League Baseball, all because we allow athletes to compete without using drugs, without using chemicals, and without having surgery. And because we've done it on such a large scale, the major organizations, the major powers to be, have done everything they can to shut us up and shut us down. I mean, it's been a very fun ride, but it keeps getting better and better. We got all these major athletes to start speaking out about these things, and when you get all these athletes to start talking about this, talking about these different modalities that work, the people start listening. And if the people start listening, the people stop buying prescription drugs and start using these modalities, they lose big money. And that's what's caused so many controversies with what we're doing. We were talking earlier about the antler velvet. That's been one of the major issues we've had is IGF-1 is a banned substance. But IGF-1 in our product is a completely, totally natural substance. Again, you know about antler velvet. We have antler that deer that we harvest out of New Zealand. We freeze dry, extract it out. It's completely, totally natural IGF-1.
Right. Well, you're not isolating the IGF-1, are you? I mean, you're taking the whole thing that comes from the velvet, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's more like a food.
Yes, sir. That's what it is. But it's completely, totally natural. And the sad part is the NFL feeds all their athletes in the training table milk and meat, which is all...
Yeah, steroid-laced, antibiotic-laced. I mean, we're not talking free-grazing, grass-fed beef here.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And this is completely, totally natural, and because of that, they've made it now a banned substance. And now we've really made them even more mad because now we've combined the antler velvet with the colostrum, and this has really upset them. You thought the stuff about milk was bad. Now they're going after us with the colostrum. But again, we know we're over the bullseye because they keep coming at us harder and harder. Because these technologies work.
Yeah. Well, what is it that athletes are seeing that are utilizing the deer velvet antler? I mean, I've talked about it over the years because they're natural growth factors. We're not talking about creating, monster Arnold Schwarzeneggers with anabolic synthetic stuff, though. Where this is, like I said, it's coming in as a whole food.
Right. Well, what the athletes have been able to see is a gain in lean body mass. They've been able to increase their endurance. Rebuild, regrow, and rejuvenate tissue. And on the field, this translates to better performance. But it's completely, totally safe and effective. Everything we did went back to the Mitchell Report. Are you familiar with the Mitchell Report?
A little bit, but refresh everybody for us.
The Mitchell Report was put together by Congressman Mitchell that said there was a problem with anabolic steroids.
Right.
Okay? And we went to him and said, look, you've identified there's a problem. We need to educate these athletes, but we need to give them an alternative. And that's what we did. We gave them an alternative, but because it worked so well, because we got so many of these major athletes to start speaking out on this, they've done everything they can to shut us up and shut us down.
Mm-hmm. Well, who's behind this, though? I mean, I usually see an FDA thing. Now you're telling me professional athletic associations like NBA and Major League Baseball, and these are private entities. Why would they be against this?
My understanding is, if you start digging deep enough, you'll realize that the big pharma has a huge stance or owning in the NFL.
They do a lot of drugs there. Big Pharma, FDA-approved drugs.
Yes, sir, they do.
So by utilizing, for instance, the SWATs, were they able to reduce their reliance on some of these medicines, drugs? Is that your suspicion?
It's not a suspicion, it's a fact. These athletes were able to use their chips, to use the antler velvet, and they didn't have to take the cortisone. They didn't have to take the cortisol. They didn't have to get the Lortab, the Oxycontin. And when these athletes start telling the people, hey, this stuff works, the people start listening. And if the people start listening, they quit buying those pharmaceutical drugs, Big Pharma loses money. And the biggest thing they could do is made all these athletes disassociate from us, and if they did not disassociate, they would be suspended from the league.
Has there been any legal action against these leagues for banning a legal supplement?
As of right now, we haven't filed suit. That's something we're looking at. We don't want it to have to come to that. That's why we went back and identified a new problem. The new problem the NFL has right now is concussions.
Big time, yeah. That's the Players Association, I think, and certainly the retired players, all suffering and not getting the care that they need. So what are they doing to protect the players now?
As of right now, they're not doing anything. They're trying to come up with better helmets and better equipment and whatnot, but we've presented a problem, and now we've given them the solution. We've been working with athletes like Joe DeLamalero, Tony Dorsett, Charles Haley, and we've done some amazing things with their concussions. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. I do not practice medicine without a license. But we're hoping the NFL will get on board with this and let the NFL be the ones to be the heroes to give them the solution.
But tell me, what is it that, for instance, the SWAT product that have you been told by doctors or anything, what is happening that is helping these folks? I mean, I'm not asking you to be a doctor, just to let me know what they're relating to you.
Well, basically what's going on here is the tablet we have that's enteric coated is able to bypass the small intestines. Bypass the stomach, get to the small intestines, and it's able to begin to heal the brain. Okay. How all that's going on, again, I'm just a dumb jock, but all my athletes, when they went and gotten their MRIs and had their brain studies done, all the damage that was there before is now gone. Mm-hmm. Okay, we had one guy named Big Daddy who was an MMA wrestler who couldn't remember his name. Okay, couldn't remember his name from time, and within 13 days now, he can have a complete total conversation with you now and go outside and cut his grass.
So the product we're talking about, I think I have it here. Oh, it's right under this book. By the way, we're recording this at the Health Freedom Expo in Chicago, and we had some transmission issues. That's why it's playing today, but it's just as valuable as the day we've done it here. This neutropin and colostrum. Antler velvet, colostrum, enteric-coated tab, astragalus, a form of ginseng as well, and this could do some good work for people. Again, the FDA has not banned it; it's sold as a supplement. You're not making drug claims.
Not at all.
But these private organizations that are somehow tied in, there must be drug kickbacks in these professional leagues with these. I mean, how else would you explain this if they were really interested in helping their athletes?
I can't explain it. I mean, again, when we first identified this problem 8 years ago, we thought we would be on everybody's side because it was a problem. We gave them the solution. But because we gave them the solution, we've now been the most controversial supplement company in the world and banned by all these organizations. I mean, it makes no sense to me, but again, I began to go down that rabbit hole and began to realize that there's some very powerful people that don't like people getting healthy without using drugs, chemicals, and surgery.
Yeah, well, we know that here on the Robert Scott Bell Show. That's been a big issue long term. So how do people find out more about the SWAT? So let's say they have maybe, the kids in school, or say for high schoolers. I mean, this is not a drug.
No, not at all. And that's one of the biggest things we're trying to do is we've helped the major athletes, but we want to get to the mom and pops that want their 13, 14, 15-year-old child to not have those concussions, and also the high school ball player. the simplest way to go check things out and go watch some of the videos, and we have all the researchers on the website. The website SWATs, S-W-A-T-S, team, TEAM.com, SWATsteam.com. Anybody that wants to call me directly, I'd love to answer questions. My direct cell is 205-936-9803.
Give that out again.
That's 205-936-9803.
So if you know any professional or even amateur or collegiate athletics and you want to utilize this, it is something that, I don't know, has the NCAA had an opinion on this yet?
Right now, the NCAA as an organization has not had an opinion. We have been banned officially by the University of Alabama, the University of Auburn, and the University of LSU.
So if you're a University of Georgia fan, get your college players on this. They'll have an advantage.
Well, and the cool thing with this, a lot of people don't realize this, but I'm from Alabama. Okay, the last 3 national championships, you know where they came out of?
Yeah, the state of Alabama.
The state of Alabama. And we've got all the evidence that we've worked with all 3 of those teams the last 3 years. And that's what will be coming out here in September in Sports Illustrated. So any of your listeners want to check that out, Sports Illustrated in September, they can read all about what we've been doing in collegiate football.
Right, fascinating stuff here. So check it out, SWAT's Team, S-W-A-T-S-T-E-A-E. I can't even speak. S-W-A-T-S-T-E-A-M.com. SWAT's Team. And again, the numbers there, we'll have it listed in the show notes today at robertscottbell.com. Chris, I'd like to check back with you, especially when that Sports Illustrated issue hits. This is going to be a big news.
It's going to be a big cover story, and hopefully it'll blow the lid off everything.
Well, we'll check it out. You check it out online at robertscottbell.com. We got lots more healing to go on the Robert Scott Bell Show.